Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Pyramid Part 3. Yesterday we talked about strength in numbers. We have Aurora Lynx, Ouroboros, Dinosaurus, Disbelief, and Pufu just right about there, right? And so today we're going to talk about the next row after this one. But before that, of course, we are going to look at the comments from yesterday's video. Now, honestly, there's not really much pushback this time around. I guess people do agree in a lot of the things that I've said. The only thing that people were, pushing back a little bit on, or like they want to get him higher, is Disbelief, right? So we're only gonna do one familiar. Before I forget though, let me just give a shout out to Angelo Tarin. This guy, he is the very first one to watch the part 1 of the Pyramid. And then yesterday, again, he is the very first one to watch the part 2. So shout out to you, man. Really appreciate the support, and being the first to view videos is just amazing. Thank you very much. Anyway, so these are the comments. A lot of them are just about Disbelief, so I'm gonna read two. There's something here that says Pufu being held back by his counterintuitive, but there's no really pushback there. It's just an agreement. I do agree with this. So in the Korean server, Pufu does extra damage to frostbitten enemies. For some reason, they removed that in a global, so that kind of weakened Pufu, and really a bummer for the whales who pulled for him. But there's nothing we can do. Just Netmarble being an ass, right? So anyway, let's read the comments about Disbelief. Disbelief deserves higher rank. After I asked your advice to reach top 30, I was able to manage to get in the top 10 mainly because of my Awakened 10 Disbelief. Right, so yeah, I read that mainly for my ego. But anyway, so another one here. I think Disbelief should be placed in the God tier. Toko Shrimp, etc. All right, and A10 Disbelief with 6 to 5 star toy. Very possible new Temple Arena Robert. I agree with that. So with High Awakened Evan is very strong on defense. Oh, so paired with High Awakened Ebon is very strong on defense. I've seen replays with Ebon tanking 5 familiar damage. I agree with that. That is very possible to do. Outstanding damage. The only counter to this is if Ebon skill got cancelled by an opposing Ebon and the opponent is focused on Disbelief. Alright, so there's a few things here. The reason why your Disbelief is so dominant, so for this too, at least, the Disbelief is at A10, right? So I think I remember this guy, Captain Sparrow. So he has a lot of familiars that are at A10. I don't know if he's a whale or a dolphin, but highly likely. So his team, he was using a lot of the rare familiars without synergy and not at A10. So I was thinking like, why are you not using your A10 Disbelief? This is just a very small tweak I did, if I remember that. So it's just put in Disbelief to replace one rare familiar, and then so that gave a good synergy together with his Ebon, and then so it's no surprise that he was able to get to top 10 from top 30. To Vincent, however, what he's saying, come on, man. I mean, this is an A10 Disbelief with a 6 to 5 star doi. Any familiar that is at 8-10 and then with a 6 star to 5 star toy, that is going to be dominant. And then if he is paired with High Awakened Ebon, is very strong on defense. So it's not gonna be on his own. He has to be paired with someone with like an Ebon. So as I've said yesterday, a Def type that is a melee type. So Ebon fits that build. So honestly, you are kind of proving my point. A10 Disbelief with 6 to 5 star toy still has to be paired with an Awakened Ebon, right? So basically, I placed him here because familiars here are really good complementary piece to a certain familiar or to a team, right? So and Disbelief is definitely that. He is not the familiar that can dominate on its own. I mean, it could be really, really good and really, really annoying because of his healing, but that's if you heal someone that is something like an Ebon, a really tanky one. And so that's why Disbelief is staying here, and maybe if you see the next row, you'll be alright. Now, I understand why. Alright, so now let's get to the next row. Show me the next row, please. Thank you very much. This is the meta/counter. And as the title suggests here, they are either a meta or a counter to meta currently. Right, so let's start with Suryu. By the way, just to give a little bit more information, their value goes up from right to to left, right? So they're not equal, I would say. So with Suryu, I think everybody knows about Suryu. He is pretty straightforward. Doesn't do CC, doesn't change anybody's positioning. He's just a really good DPS and a really good nuke. Now, I'll be honest with you. Suryu, I think, fits more in the strength in numbers because even though he is a counter to the meta, with him alone, without a Hippocampus or a Pafu, he won't be able to beat a BTS team if the BTS team is built correctly. But if it is a Suryu that is 810 with 6-star toy, then maybe. But he is still a meta counter nonetheless, and that is very important. And so he is in the meta counter row. But if someone gives a compelling argument, I will drop him. Now, unlike Suryu, Might is firmly placed here just because Might can do a lot more in the battlefield compared to Suryu. So there's a little bit more flexibility there in terms of what team he can be used on. So like, in my opinion, Suryu would be really good attacking. But on defense, especially if you're rocking a BTS, he won't be used, right? Unlike Might, who can be used with BTS if you are willing to do a 3 Fire Familiar lineup in the Def team, which would be very susceptible against attacking Suryu and Hippocampus. And on the attacking side, you can use him in a lot of different lineups because of his CC. So he can do really good damage and can cancel a lot of familiar skills. So he can cancel Bunny Bot during my tests, can cancel a Ouroboros, a Dinoceras, and fun fact, so if Might is going against an Ebon, like if they go face to face, when Ebon uses his skill, Might actually won't use his skill yet. So in a way, he isn't cancelled by Ebon. So Ebon might go first, and then later on, Might will use his skill. It will be delayed, but he will still use his skill. So that is kind of a good plus, right? Since Ebon is, high up on this list. Spoiler. And with that, I would say Might is not dominant, but because of his flexibility, he can be put in a variety of lineups. I am putting him high in the pyramid in this meta counter row. Now, Hippocampus. When I made a video about Hippocampus, it was together with Suryu, and in that video, I kind of implied that I would prefer Suryu than Hippocampus. And that was because at that time, it was. But right now, with the current meta, Hippocampus is much more valuable because now changing your opponent's positioning just became very important, either to start a combo or breaking the defensive formation. And with the timing of his skill perfect as a combo starter, together with, as a lot of people have mentioned, Aurora Lynx and Dinoceras or Ouroboros. So again, he is in the same row as Suryu, but in terms of value, I would say he is 25% more valuable than Suryu. Even though he is rare and Suryu is not, which I think people will point out as well. But because there's not a lot of familiars that can change the opponent's positioning. So we have Staghorn that can do that, Ebon Thorax that can do that, Dinoceras can do that, but it's erratic. You don't know where the familiars will go. So with Hippocampus being one of the 3 that can start a combo, and not only does he reposition familiars, he also has the potential to cancel familiars. So even if he's at low awakening, he still can be used. His potential as a combo starter is very valuable, and so he is high up on this list as a meta/counter. I mean, I've flirted in bringing him higher on the list, but meta counter I'd say is just about right. Now, Shrimp Baler. Before the buff, or the fix, people would say it's just a fix, but the fix did buff him, so I don't know why you guys are getting worked up with all these technicalities. Before all of that, Shrimp Baler was just okay, but now he is kind of the reason why the BTS team, or like the meta, became very popular. That healing together with a boar is just crazy, and it's not just with boar, and that's why he is here. He is kind of the reason why you want to use a Hippocampus on your team. One, Hippocampus counters fire, and also you kind of want to break the formation of a boar and Shrimp Baler. So you want to get Shrimp Baler at least nearer the battlefield so that he can die before a boar, maybe. So It is really crazy how much healing Shrimp Baler does. In one of my accounts where I'm using BTS, when it's the 3-on-3 battle, so the BTS is the one left on the battlefield against the other three on the opponent's side. Shrimp Baler will be healing Boar around 1,100, and then Boar will be taking damage from three familiars around 900 or 1,000 only. So basically, Shrimp Baler is healing more than the normal hits from the opponent's side. So that's why nukes also is getting more important than damage over time because of the Sorbor and Shrimp Baler kind of synergy. So I get it. Based on what I said, he sounds more like a strength in numbers type of guy. But let me explain why, and I think a lot of you will benefit or learn from this explanation. So let's compare him to Disbelief, just because people are also saying he should be high up on the list, and he also does healing on one familiar. So it's kind of a good comparison to see the difference between the strength in numbers row and the meta counter row. Just between the two, alright? So first of all, Shrimp Baler is a range type. I know that doesn't sound much, but that alone kind of changes the meta, or kind of forced to change the meta, where you have to change the placement of your opponent's side who is using a Shrimp Baler in order to get him quicker and kill him before he can make other familiars too OP, aka Sorbor. So that's why, as I've said, Hippocampus became very important. You'll see later on the others, but so that's one of the reasons why. It's because he's a range type. So imagine if Disbelief was a range type, you'd be like, oh god, this is OP. That is my point. Exactly. And now secondly, and this is very underrated, he heals every time he attacks. So he is healing over time compared to a Disbelief, which is healing like a nuke, right? So one time, big time. And that is very important because, like, say for example, because sometimes you will have a Toko and a Disbelief together, and sometimes you will even have a Shrimp Baler together with all of that. In the very first part of the game, like, basically there will be a burst of not only nukes but also healing. So Toko will use his heal, and then Disbelief will also use his heal. A lot of times when you're using Disbelief, will be healed back to full health, but he didn't really take 40% damage, right? So since Disbelief is healing around like 50% of HP, there is kind of a waste of healing. And even sometimes there's only 30% damage. So the 50% healing of Disbelief, there is a 20% waste there. And another thing, Disbelief kind of casts his skill earlier than a lot of the nukes. Definitely casts his skill before Aurora Lynx uses his skill. So in that way, the timing, it would have been better if Disbelief kind of healed a little bit later, so that when all the nukes are done, he can heal a familiar back to full health, or around close to full health, right? But with Shrimp Baler, since he is healing over time, there is no waste in his healing. So after all of the nukes, the healing becomes very important, and it will take some time before Disbelief and Toko can cool down. And so the healing of Shrimp Baler there, in order to get to the healing of Toko or a Disbelief, that becomes very important, right? So that being said, I would give the edge to Shrimp Baler. Number 3, meta. What else do you want? I mean, he also does good damage against earth types, which is important. So, like, there is a chance where it's gonna be Toko against a Shrimp Baler. So with Shrimp Baler having the advantage against earth types, so it gives you the ability to win a close fight. So that's why, even though he kind of fits the description of strength in numbers, he is just too OP to stay here. So yeah, we are putting him in the higher row and firmly placed here, I would say. Alright, so there you have it. Shrimp Baler, Hippocampus, Might, and Suryu. Let me remind you, there is a gradual increase in value here from right to left, right? So definitely Shrimp Baler is more valuable than Suryu. Let me know your thoughts. Go ahead and go to the comment section. Some violent reaction, or like if you agree, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Only a few familiars left. We are getting close to the top, and I feel like it's getting more interesting. Definitely gonna take a lot more time in explaining the next few familiars. But yeah, check back tomorrow. We're probably gonna do 2 rows. Let's see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Really appreciate the support. If you guys have friends who are also struggling in the familiar arena, go ahead and share this channel so that they can, get a lot more information and, in a way, get me more subscribers. So yeah, thank you very much. Hope you enjoy that. See you tomorrow.